fourth season of Handmaid's Tale is over, and so is Fred Waterford. So who's the villain now? That is the one burning question we are going to try to answer today. And who better to help me with this than Yvonne Strahovski, who plays Serena Waterford, and the dearly departed Joseph Fiennes, who played her ill-fated husband, Fred. My condolences, and you look much better than what we just saw. So I'm glad to see I'm glad to see you're okay and thriving.
Death is not all that bad. Yeah.
Well, you're making it look quite dapper, I must say. But thank you both for being here. It's a big question. Who do you see now as taking up the mantle of this show's villainy? It's a big job.
You know, for Serena, I think she's always applauding, and I think she certainly has been this entire time. And so I don't know, I guess it's that weird line of, you know, I'm becoming a mother and therefore more, you know, I have to embrace my nurturing side as a mother, but how do you balance that with continuing to detach from your humanity and your compassion in order to get what you want and feed the power that you crave in order to survive?
You've dressed it up beautifully, Yvonne, but we all know that Serena's madly in love with Mark Tuello, and that it's game over anyway. As much as we want to talk about this, it's you and Mark right now, right?
Yeah, you guessed it.
So I want to get back to the central issue at hand, which is who will be the villain. How do you see someone like Lydia sort of, I guess, taking over for that mission? Because, you know, Lydia is, if anything, very also committed in the same way, right?
She's chipping away. She knows how the narrative works, and is watching diligently and understands the kind of the pathetic patriarchal kind of rules and machinations like no one else. No, she's beyond brilliant, Lydia. She's a survivor, without doubt.
Yeah, I feel like Lydia's got the potential to soften. I don't know. I just think she's having kind of a reckoning of how she handled the handmaids, and I think she takes on that responsibility to a great extent. And perhaps that could make her reflect, and, you know, or she'll just, you know, take over and start killing other commanders, you know, silently.
And someone else who I'd love to explore is Nick. And I think we've continued to see new perspectives come out of him and his love for Nicole and his enduring love for June. But again, I also don't fully understand his allegiances. Where do you see Nick evolving from here?
Yeah, I agree with you. It's hard to sort of understand the line that he walks remaining in Gilead. Now Nick is commanding the Eyes, I believe, and he has so much more power. He obviously had the power to set up this exchange or be part of setting it up, handing over Fred, you know, to June, taking Fred away from Lawrence, who is incredibly powerful. So there is a lot for him to do. It's just going to be interesting to see whether he kind of gets on board with maybe trying to help get people come across the border more, or something in terms of the resistance.
Right.
Or, you know, why it'd be interesting to find out what his motivation is to stay and partake in.
He walks in that territory, with that territory you're talking, the forest is no man's land, and that's a little bit where he sort of walks between both sides. True. He's in the gully of no man's land.
Right, it was very, very metaphorical and symbolic that's where that action took place. Do you think Nick has it in him to be villainous?
I think he does. I know what you're saying, but I think he does. I mean, there was a reason why he signed on for all that in the first place. I mean, we saw a little bit of his backstory too in past episodes where he is, he gets on board to a certain extent, right? And he partakes in this willingly in a lot of ways. Am I correct? I think
he already has. Saw. I mean, he's gone down that path already, irrevocably, with June in many ways. That road and pathway is wide open to Nick.
I think what's really, really interesting is watching June dabble in the villainous side, because it's, you know, you're exploring her resistance and you're observing her fight and go forward against all odds, but at what price?
Right.
And also when justice is not served, you see Mark Tuello telling June, justice in your case will not be served. Fred is going to be a free man. And what happens to people when you feel like you have to take matters into your own hands?
Well, it's that interesting thing that Yvonne was speaking about, which is essentially the paradox of revenge. And yes, this season is very much about freedom. And June escapes, but she, in many ways, brings all of the machinations and horrors of Gilead with her, and becomes the monster that she seeks to destroy in Fred. So there's that wonderful paradox to muse on. She becomes from heroine to anti-heroine. And in terms of what Luke has gone through, what an image to walk into. And I mean, for him, I mean, I love that collapse of just, I mean, his world is just bottomed out. I mean, this is not the person that he knew.
I mean, could you imagine walking in and your partner, you know, your partner's murdered someone.
She's irrevocably changed.
It's like going to war, essentially. How do you come back into the world as a civilian and live your life?
Very true. So back to this original burning question, and I'm going to make you choose. Joe, if you had to choose right now, who is your pick for top villain next season?
Wow, top villain. I mean, if we do a count of people who've been slain, I think our dear Lizzie Moss is right up there with June. I think Aunt Lydia, for me, cattle prods all the way.
She's my pick as well.
I mean, I'm a bit torn between Lydia and June, because I do think June has the potential to keep going down this path. I mean, is there any turning back now? Can you recover from this?
So, I mean, I wonder whether Serena is carrying, rather like Rosemary's Baby, Fred's sort of the horror of Fred, and maybe we'll see a season way down the end there of Son of Fred or something, and maybe he will be the evil one.
Well, we want to thank you for your time and incredible work over the course of the series. Again, we don't know if we'll see you again. There's a magical thing at play with writers and bringing people back. So we'll hold out hope for that. And thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you for your time. Thanks.
Well, the season is over and Fred has met his fate, but that doesn't mean the conversation has to end. You can keep it going with the hashtag #OneBurningQuestion. Thank you so much for watching.